Salut mon cœur. Quelle jolie petite fossette, sexy. Et ces lunettes alors, hein, ça ajoute au charme. Est-ce que c'est une monture Gucci? C'est anglais? Non, 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 non. Alors,
Good morning, everyone that's just joining. Thanks for joining us today for our Read and Write workshop. We'll be getting started in a couple minutes, just going to give anyone who's still about to join a chance to join the meeting. So I'll go ahead and put the link for our presentation in the chat now. That way you can follow along once we do get started in a couple minutes. But yeah, just hang tight and we'll be getting started shortly.
Recording in progress.
Good morning. So for those of you that are just hopping on now, we're going to get started in a minute or two. And I'm just going to grab the link again for anyone that's just joined. And that's the presentation that we'll be looking at today. So just give you a chance to follow along once we do get started. So hang tight and we'll be getting started around, let's say 11:03, just to give anyone who's still hopping on a chance to join if they're coming in a bit late. Got a couple more people joining here. Just going to give it another minute and then we'll get started. All right, so it's 11:03. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our presentation here. And just to give you a bit of a welcome and an intro about who we are. So my name is Tonya, and I'm an assistive technology specialist. And I've got my colleague Verna here as well. I'll let her introduce herself.
So my name is Verna Chan. I'm the other assistive technology specialist here. In between Tony and myself, there's remote and days and on-site days, but there's always going to be one of us available on-site Monday through Friday.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Verna. Just admitting a couple more people to the workshop here. So for anyone that's just joined in the last minute or two, I'm just going to grab that link again. This is a link to our presentation slides here so you can follow along. And then we're just getting started now with our introductions and our workshop here. So today we'll be covering the Read and Write study tool, which will help you to read, write, and study more effectively. And it's available for everyone at Conestoga, so you can access that using your Conestoga email, and we'll be showing you how to do that shortly. There's a browser extension you can add that we can show you how to enable and sign in. And then there's also a desktop tool that you can download as well. But today we'll be focusing on the browser extension just because it's easier to set up. So that's a bit of a intro about us. So we are recording the workshop today. And the recording, if you need access to it, we'll be sending that out through email in the next couple days after the workshop. And please feel free to ask questions. So we do have the chat feature here, and we'll be watching the chat as we go along. So if you have a question, you can feel free to pop that in there. You also can unmute yourself if you feel more comfortable jumping in and using your voice to ask a question. So those are the two options there. If you have anything that comes up, if you're not sure how to do something or something isn't working, you can always let us know and we'll be happy to help out. And then on our agenda today, some things we'll be covering. First one is, of course, what is Read and Write? How can you use it to help improve your learning, to help you with the reading, writing, studying tasks that you have to do as a student? And then we'll show you how to install the toolbars, how to add that to your web browser, whether that's your Chrome browser, Edge browser, whatever one that you're using most often. And then we'll look at the difference between the web version and the desktop version and which one would work for different scenarios. And then we'll follow along with a demonstration that we're going to show you. We'll show you some of the reading tools that Read and Write has, as well as writing tools and study tools. And of course, we'll wrap up at the end and do questions, last minute comments from you guys, and see if you have anything that's come up before we finish up. So that's our agenda. So what is Read and Write? So Read and Write is a toolbar. So I'll pull it up here and you'll be able to see that in a second. I can show you what it would look like in your browser. So it's going to be a toolbar that has a whole bunch of different features built into it. And there's a lot that you can do with it. You can see all the different things there on that toolbar. So it is a toolbar that helps with your literacy at Conestoga. So it can help you with reading, writing, and studying your course material. And with your Conestoga email, you can access it for free and you get access to all of those features for the duration of your studies. So I did just show you the web browser, but there is also a desktop tool. So I've got the desktop tool on my desktop here. It just looks like that. And that one you can get through the IT downloads page, through the IT Conestoga homepage. And the difference between the browser extension and desktop toolbar, there are a few tools that are only available in one toolbar versus the other. So there's a Rewordify tool, which will basically take any more complicated words and simplify them for you, reword them. And that one's just in the browser. And the desktop tool, that one has the PDF reader. So if you're wanting it to read a PDF document, you want to get the desktop version rather than the web version, because that one does not have the PDF reader feature. And some features work differently between the toolbars. So you've got the translator on the web version. It'll just do short phrases and words, but the desktop one will translate entire passages. So that's just a few of the differences between the two. So overall, like most of the features are the same, but there's just a couple of key differences there. And so now we'll help you to access the web extension. So we have a couple links there. So I will put those in the chat as well. So I'll just grab the Chrome link there and put that first. So for anyone that's a Chrome user, you can use this link that's in the chat to get the web extension for Chrome. And then the next one I'm going to grab is the one from Microsoft Edge. So I'll put that there next. So for anyone that uses Edge, you can use that one. And then the desktop version, if you do want to explore that, when you're on the IT homepage, if you go to downloads, you would go to that downloads tab at the top and then scroll down and click Read and Write, and you'll see the Windows and Mac download options there. But for today, we're going to focus on the web version just because it's easier to set up. And yeah, and if you want to learn more about the desktop tool, you can always meet with us, and we're happy to take you through it and help you install and set it up on your device. So that's a bit about how to get the two versions there. So today we'll do the web version. So I'll just open up the Chrome to show you what it looks like, and I'll remove it from Chrome just to take you through the process of getting it onto your browser there. So once you go to that link there, you'll see this Add to Chrome button. You want to click that one and then click Add Extension. And then once it's added to your browsers, you want to go into the extensions, which will be this little puzzle icon that looks like this at the top of your browser. So if you go into extensions, you're now going to see Read and Write for Google Chrome listed there. And if you click the little pin icon next to it, that will pin it to the top of your screen so that it's always visible there. So no matter what page you're on, you'll be able to click on it and access that from there. So the next step would just be to go to a page that has some text on it. So I usually go to the Conestoga homepage and pull up one of the news articles. And then that will allow you to try it out on something that has some text, so you can pull up the toolbar and see if it will work with the text on that page. So I'll just wait for that to load there and that I can pull it up for you. And how's everyone doing so far? Do you have any questions about getting the web extension, or let us know if there's anything that's not working so far as you're getting set up with the tool. So feel free to put something in the chat if that's easier for you, or you can just unmute yourself and hop on if you have a question. All right, and can everyone still hear me okay? I think my Wi-Fi is being a bit spotty, so just want to check in, make sure everyone can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Everything's fine. There's nothing.
Okay,
There's nothing
perfect.
glitchy going on.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, so I'm just opening up one of the articles here. Perfect. And then, well, this page seems to be loading, so I'll just stick with the IT homepage for now, but if we wanted to open up the Read/Write toolbar now, you can click on the little icon. So after you pin it, it should be there up at the top for you, and you can click on it. Just do a single click and then wait a couple of seconds, and you'll see a sign-in screen like this, and you want to make sure you sign in with your Microsoft account. So it'll be the second option here. And then once you click that one, you'll see the sign in page will show up with your Conestoga Outlook options there. So it might sign you in automatically if you've already signed in with your Conestoga email. If not, you'll see your Outlook sign in, and you'll be able to put your Conestoga email and use that to sign into it. And then if you see a screen like this, you just want to choose for education, and then it should be able to sign you in after that. If you want to make sure that you're checked or signed in with the right email, you just click on the little three dots there on the toolbar, and then go to settings. And then if you go into the accounts section, that's where you can see what you're signed in as. So for those of you, if it's signed you in as your Gmail account automatically, you can go in and sign in with Microsoft instead. And then that will give you access to all the features there. All right, so that's the setup portion of the agenda there. So let us know how you're doing with that. If you've got the extension or if you're struggling with anything else, just let us know in the chat there. And then once everyone's set up, we can go on to the first couple of features in the browser and try them out. So we'll be looking at the reading features first. That's some of them there. So I'll just give it a pause here and see if everyone's ready or good to go. You can always give us a thumbs up in the chat and let us know that you're ready to go on to the next part.
A reminder again, if anybody is having troubles with adding the extension, etc., again, just a remessage, you can book an appointment with us and we can help you with that setup. Sometimes what makes it complicated is if you've actually got a personal account sign in on your Google browser or your Microsoft Edge browser, that can sometimes actually be where things get a little messy. So you can always just simply follow along today, book an appointment with us. We can help you with all of that sort of stuff.
All right, perfect. So that takes us, I saw a thumbs up there in the chat, and I'm not seeing any questions, so I will go on to the next section here, which is our reading tools, but feel free to stop me anytime if something does come up or something's not working for you. So there's a bunch of different reading tools that are built into the toolbar there. So you can see some of them listed there in our presentation. I'll just take you through those now. I'm going to give it a try again, open up an article, because usually that's a little bit easier to practice on.
If it doesn't load for you, Tonya, I do have it on my screen loaded, so I can screen share, and then I can be your Vanna White. Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think maybe I'll just go from. Yeah, I'll just go from here, I guess. So you do have a toolbar there. So the first one is your text-to-speech tool. So on the toolbar, that would be like your play, pause, and stop buttons. So any page that you're on that has some text on it, you can just highlight the first line. And then if you click on the play button on the toolbar, it'll start reading from that first line and keep going until the end of the page. So let's just give that a try, and fingers crossed, hopefully it'll work. So let's do that now.
College service updates. Waterloo campus construction. November 13th, 2023 to December 31st, 2024. Construction is scheduled for the water.
Yeah, so that's an example of how it will read out the text for you. So you don't have to necessarily do this on a web page. You could also go on to, let's say you're in like a Google Doc, or if you're in a Word document online, you could pull this up and use it in there. You can also use it on eConestoga. So on your eConestoga pages, you can pull up the content that you wanted to read, and then open up your toolbar, select the first line of text, and have it read it out loud. This also will work on your e-textbooks. So if you're in Texidium and you have Texidium textbook open in your browser, you should be able to highlight and have it read that out loud as well. So that's some of the scenarios you can use it in. And then if you do want to change the reading speed or the voice that it's using, you can go into your three dots here on the toolbar and then click on settings. And then you want to make sure that you are in the speech section on the left-hand side there. And then that's where you can see all your speech options. So right now it's using the US AVA voice. So that's the one that you guys just heard. If I click on it here, I'll see all the other options there. So any of the US voices will have a US accent, but they do also have UK accents if that's one that you prefer, along with other types of accents there. So I'm going to switch to Tom just to show you the difference between those two voices. And then down here in the speed section, you can change how quickly it's reading. So you can slow that down by dragging that to the left, or you can speed it up, dragging it to the right. And then, yeah, so I'll just speed it up a bit. And then once you're happy with the settings, you can close that down, and then you can do the same thing again, open your toolbar, and then start reading, and you'll hear the difference now between the voice.
Apps and tools. Ekanistoga. Student portal. Office 360.
Yeah, so that's the speech settings there. That's your text-to-speech feature. So pretty easy to use, and it's fully customizable, so you can choose the voice and reading speed that work best for you. The next one there, if anyone has any questions, let me know. If anything isn't working so far for you, before we go on to the screen masking tool. Or you can give me a thumbs up if you're all good so far. Yeah, seeing thumbs up here. Perfect. Not seeing any questions. All right, so that is our text-to-speech feature. So that is like the one of the main features for reading. And then the next one will be screen masking. They have a reading light feature that helps you to focus on just whatever area of the document that you're reading or working on. So I've got it here already set up. You want to make sure that you're in settings and then go to screen masking, and then that's where you can change the settings on there. So you want to make sure that that reading light feature is checked off so that it's enabled. And then you can change the settings there. So when you first turn it on, let me just pull it up here again. It's going to look like this. So you can change how dark the background is and how wide that reading light is. And in the settings, which is this little gear icon here, it'll take you right to the section you want to be in. So my background, I want to make that a bit darker, so I'm going to drag that over to the right here. And then I want to make my reading light more narrow so that it's just a couple of lines of text at a time. So just like that. Yeah, that looks good to me. So I'm going to close that down now. And now I can go through and highlight the stuff that I'm reading. And this can really help with attention and focus. So if you have a lot of reading to do, you can turn on the reading light, and then that will help you to kind of focus in on the information on the page. And you can go line by line. You can do a couple lines. I'm seeing a question here in the chat. Can we use Read and Write for Google Chrome on the iPad or phone? Thank you. Yeah, so the iPad, they do have an iPad app that you can get. So it's Read and Write for iPad. And it works a little bit differently. So you can access the text-to-speech on through the Read and Write for iPad. You just have to do it through the Safari browser. So there is a bit of setup involved in that. So I would recommend meeting with myself or Verna, and then we can help you set it up on your iPad and show you the difference between the version that we're looking at today and then the iPad version. We can help you set it up and do some training on how to use it.
Yeah, it looks very different on an iPad.
Mhm.
There's almost kind of like Read and Write works in two different places. Like Tony had just mentioned, there's like if you're using the Safari browser, there's a Read and Write sort of like element to the tool there. And then the other way that Read and Write performs on an iPad is really more just like it's a different type of keyboard. So it doesn't look anything like this toolbar that you're seeing in our demonstration here. It looks and functions like differently with an iPad. You don't get this universal toolbar floating around on your iPad screen.
Yeah, that's right. So So that was it for our screen masking feature there. So whenever you want to toggle that on, you can click on this little screen icon there. And yeah, that's how you can enable that reading light feature. Oh, just seeing somebody join, so I'm going to admit them in the meeting there. Yeah, so that's your screen masking. And then our next feature there is called Simplify. So Simplify is actually this icon here. It has some text and then the down arrow. And you can use this on any page to simplify it, to get rid of any distracting elements. If there's like an article that has a bunch of ads around it, for example, you can simplify it. Let's see if it'll work on this page. Yeah, there we go. So really Simplify is just giving you the text on a really simple background, and you can go up here and you can change the background color. If you prefer like a dark mode, you can switch that on in there. You can also change the font, and here you can change the size of the font, and you can change the font itself. So you can choose a different one there. So depending on what works best for you and your eyes, you can select and customize your font in here. You can also change the spacing if you prefer more spacing on your article. You can do double or 0.5. And that's some of the customizations you can make visually. And then you can also access the toolbar from the simplified version of your page. So if you click on the little puzzle icon here, it will open up, and then you can then go ahead and use your reading tools right within the simplified version there.
Apps and tools. College service updates. Waterloo campus construction.
Yeah, so this Simplify is a really helpful tool if you're having to do a lot of reading online, especially if you struggle with any kind of attention or focus. It's good to, simplify your page and just focus in on the text. And then if you do want to simplify it even more, it will carry over some of the images from the article. So if you want to get rid of those, you can click the little minus button, and then it'll get rid of those images and just leave the text. So you can play around with that, the plus and minus, and see how it will remove some of the stuff on the page. And you can always read at it using the plus symbol. All right, so that's simplified. I'm just going to give a pause there and see. I know somebody just joined recently, so I'll grab the presentation slides here and I can put them in chat for anyone that just recently joined who didn't get a chance to look at them yet. I think I just sent you a direct message there. Oh, I'm sorry. I think that was the wrong person. Let me switch to.
Yeah, I can.
There we go.
It.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So just looking at some of the reading features there. We just went over the text-to-speech and screen masking and simplify features. So that takes us to our dictionaries. So anytime you want to look up a word, you can do that using the dictionary icon, which looks like this on the toolbar as a little book icon. So you can go in here and we can select a word, and then we can click the book icon, and it should bring up the definition for that word. And each definition is also going to have a play symbol there, so you can play the definition here. We'll hear what that's going to sound like out loud.
Noun. The building of something. The construction of the new house went very quickly.
Yeah, so a handy tool, especially if you're in, if you have English as a second language. If there's anything that you don't recognize, you can always toggle on the definition using that book icon there. And then they have a feature as well for kind of like seeing if there's any complicated words on the page, it will rewordify. It's got the rewordify feature. So that one, it looks like it's actually next to the simplify. It looks like this icon here. So if you toggle that on, then it will basically put any complicated words in italics. So like accessible, for example. And then if you click on it, it will then reword that word and make it a little bit simpler for you. And you click on it again to see the original word. So that's how that feature works. It's essentially like the thesaurus feature. So any articles or content that have, more complex vocabulary, you can turn that rewordify feature on, and then that way you can go through and click on anything that you want to simplify or reword. Yeah, so that's another feature that's handy for English language learners. And yeah, it's just a great word substitution feature for when you're reading that can help you build up your vocabulary and support your comprehension. And then last but not least, we've got the translator and reading fluency. So the translator feature in the extension, it looks like this. It's got a little A symbol with another character behind it. So to toggle that on, you just have to select a word and then click on your translator, so that it'll grab that word and it will translate it to the language that you've set up in the settings. So to change the language, you can go here in the three dots and then go to settings. And then if you go into, which one is it here? Not language. Let's forget where that one is. Speech. Nope.
It should be under language. Oh, no, right, sorry, speech.
Speech. You go down to speech. Oh yeah, here under translation. So in the speech section right now, it's translating to Spanish. But you can click on it and you can see all of the languages that they have available. So if you see the language that you want to translate to in there, you can select it. And then once you save the setting, you will be able to see the new translation in there. Yes, that's your translator tool. So as I mentioned earlier on in the workshop, it will just translate word by word. I'm not sure if it'll do let's try the other option here, apps. Yeah, it does just the word by word, but if you're on the desktop tool, you can actually get it to translate entire passages. So you could do a paragraph or more. So that's where, if you are finding that translator tool is valuable and you want it to translate more at a time, you can get the desktop version. And yeah, you meet with us and we can help you set it up on your computer device. And then,
sorry, I was
go
just going to say, Tony, if anybody is interested though in just doing that download themselves, like I'm just going to drop into the chat here. Was it the downloads page on the IT website? Like if you want to get the full version of Read and Write, if you go to that link that I put into the chat, it brings you to the IT homepage. And in the IT homepage, there's a list of software that you can download. Just go down to the R's for Read and Write. And there's a link for like a Mac Read and Write or for a Windows Read and Write.
That's what it will look like once you go to that page. If you do want to download, you can use one of those two. And I think our last feature we'll look at today for reading is the reading fluency. So this one helps you practice reading aloud. So if you do want to practice doing that, you can toggle on your toolbar and then you can click on the little icon that looks like this with a person and the book. So as you can see, it's practice reading aloud. Once you click on it, it'll take you to a page that has the text on it that you can practice reading. And there's a little microphone button that will start recording you as you read that text. So you can go ahead and allow the microphone, read out the text on the page. And then once you get to the end, you can hit stop. And then you can hit the play button and hear yourself. And you can re-record as many times as you want. So lets you kind of practice and hear yourself as you're reading out loud, if that's something that you want to try out. So that takes us to the end of our reading features there. So I know we just covered a lot. I'll pause now and see if anyone has questions about the reading tools before we go on to the next section, which is our writing tools.
So if everybody's okay, I don't think I see anything here, right?
Yeah, not seeing any questions either.
Okay, all righty. So we'll take a look at some of the writing functions with the Read and Write toolbar. There's really only two things when it comes to the Read and Write toolbar when it comes to writing. There's a dictation button, so that's speech to text, voice recognition. Those are other words for dictation. And then actually, this is actually something we need to update. Read and Write over the summer have changed their prediction tool, and it's actually gotten to be more powerful. So we'll take a look at that. So for this example, what I've got is I've got like a Microsoft Word document pulled up. This is the online version of Microsoft Word. So I've got the online version of Read and Write working here. If you're working with Word offline, then what you're going to want is that Read and Write for Windows or Mac working alongside with the Windows desktop app version. Okay, so we're just demonstrating the online version. So I'm going to use Microsoft Word Online. We'll start with that dictation tool that I was talking about. It's this microphone icon here. When you click it, give it permissions. This is an example of me using Read and Write to type on my Microsoft Word document, period. Okay. You know the tools are on when you see a little purple dot or a purple slash underneath it. Quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. And you don't have to dictate your punctuation. You can also just use your keyboard. Okay. Another way that you can actually use dictation is maybe you're somebody who prefers typing, because typing to compose written work is different for a brain compared to using speech recognition. And some people find it challenging to actually use speech recognition to do all the writing. They're used to sort of typing. So another way that you can use dictation, though, is maybe you can support your spelling with it. So you do most of your writing by keyboarding, but when you come up with words that you're struggling to spell with, you can always then just use your dictation tool to say the problematic word. Okay. If it doesn't get your single word dictation, what you might have to do is sort of trick it into giving you the word you want. Maybe like, go down a couple of lines and put the tricky word into a full sentence, so that the dictation tool has some context in order to sort of understand what that word is. And then what you do is just then copy or cut that word out, and drop it into your sentence and erase the sample sentence that you had used in order to get your problem word. Okay, so just an idea for how to use two ways to use dictation. It's going to be your primary writing tool, or it can help you with spelling. Okay. Any questions about that? But I also mentioned that there is this new prediction tool that has changed with Read and Write. For those of you who have, maybe let's say you've done or seen used Read and Write before, this used to be like a crystal ball icon, but now it's this thinking cloud icon. And this prediction tool, for the most part, it has two jobs, potentially. It will support your spelling as you type. And you can see it's already starting to guess my words as I type. If I wanted to pick a word, I could either click on it, or I could use the number key in order to enter the words that I want. Whoops. Okay. Now I just mentioned though that using the dictation tool to help with spelling. This also helps with spelling. And the way to sort of balance off between the two is because sometimes it can be, you know, a bit of a hassle turning on buttons off and on. If you need support with spelling, try using the prediction tool and use that as your primary spelling tool. And then if it turns out it's a word that you're really struggling with, you don't even know how to sound it out in order to get it, that's where you might consider then turning on your dictation tool and simply saying the word. Okay. This read and write tool, you can already hear whenever I mouse over it, I don't know if you're hearing it, but it's my computer is actually telling me what those words are as I hover my mouse over it. So those are examples of features that you can change in the settings. So when you go into the settings, you're looking at the prediction tool. The ideal number of words you want it predicting is usually somewhere between 5 and 6. Your strongest guesses by the program are going to be your first 3 words on that list. And then if you have 5 or 6, you give the prediction tool basically an extra 2 to 3 words to try to get what you're looking for if it doesn't show up in the top 3. If your word prediction list starts to get bigger than that, like let's say 10, let's say 10, okay. What ends up happening is that you end up with a very big word list. And it just sort of becomes, it might be just too much for scanning. Okay. So you kind of want to, on the one hand, yeah, it'll give you more guesses, but the problem is then you're spending more time scanning this large list. Ideally, leave it to 5 and 6. That speech that you're hearing, hopefully, is this, sorry, this one here, this read prediction suggestions on hover. If you want that text-to-speech feedback for that list, maybe for words that you might not be familiar with, you can turn that on. The other things that I've got going on with my settings right now is following the cursor. So that means whenever I'm typing, the dictation box is moving along with me. Some people really hate that. For some others, it makes sense because then the prediction box is right where you're writing. If that movement is really distracting, you can turn that off. And then what happens is you can dock that read and write toolbar into a spot and just, it doesn't move. So it stays put. And I can just, well, oh, I think I got a glitch in my toolbar. It's not entering. If you ever see glitches happening, try refreshing the website or the web page. That can sometimes work. Sometimes when you change features on the toolbar, if the settings don't take, you can try refreshing it and then relaunching the toolbar. There we go. Okay. Other features that are kind of helpful with the prediction tool is predicting ahead. So this is where it will start guessing the next words even before you've started typing a letter. That can be a way to maybe sort of help speed up your typing. For some people, it's a way to help with moving their writing along, maybe because they're struggling to sort of like, you know, figure out, well, what is the next word that I need in the sentence? Predicting ahead can sort of help with pushing your writing along that way. Flexible spelling is that phonetic spelling that I was mentioning, where you're trying to sound out words. So an example would be, whoops. This time I'm going to try spelling elephant differently. I'm going to do, so you can see my best shot at trying to guess at spelling elephant. It still was able to get it. Okay. One more feature of the prediction tool I'm just going to mention here. This is a new one, predicting words from the page. So if you've already got text on the page, it's also pulling from content you've got on the page to support spelling. I have this one. This is basically using the old version of Read and Write. I'm leaving that off because I want the newest stuff, the more powerful stuff. You can change the size of the predictions on your on the text box as well. New features with this tool. Oopsie. Just gonna have to relaunch it again because it's not showing up. Okay. Another neat thing about this new Read and Write toolbar, sorry, let's bump it up again, is that this toolbar is actually pretty cluttery. There's a lot of stuff going on here. What you can, oh, sorry, actually, before I go there, the other thing I forgot was you can do topic dictionaries now inside the word prediction. So let's say I wanted to do search for topics. Let's say I had like biology. Okay, I can turn on topic dictionaries that will maybe call up those terms more quickly on the Read and Write toolbar. That's actually something that's brand new with this prediction tool since the summer updates. Okay. Let's see, we can try, let's see if there's anything about social work. I'm not sure. Okay, nothing about social work. Let's do law, no, legal. Okay, so a little bit of fiddling around, but there are these topic dictionaries that you can add to the prediction tool. The last thing that's sort of related to writing is sometimes this toolbar, there's too much going on here. There's a new way, sort of like a profile for how the toolbar presents. So horizontal is what you're seeing right now. It's, you know, big long toolbar. You can have it vertically where it docks onto the side of your screen. Sorry, are you guys still seeing my screen share?
Yep, I can see your screen.
Okay, sorry, because I just didn't notice the green line is missing. The writing one though means that, let me just relaunch it again. The writing view of the toolbar is much more discreet. It just shows up here as this little icon. And so you can continue to write. Okay, and when you click on that icon, oops. This is some of the tools that are on the original Read and Write toolbar that are most relevant for writing, because maybe you don't need the highlighter tools, you don't need the translation tools. You just maybe want to be able to play back some of your writing to check your work. You want to be able to use dictation at some points in times. You want your topic dictionaries. This one means that you can actually use your number keys as true numbers instead of picking from the word list. Okay, whereas if that's off, if I try to use the number keys, they start entering words. Okay, so this new view of like a writing toolbar is kind of a neat feature. You click the minimize and that puts it back into that small little icon. Okay. To completely flip it back into the proper Read and Write toolbar view, like let's say the next time you go to a website and you want to start using things like highlighters, etc. The way to flip it back is if you right click on the actual Read and Write toolbar icon in your URL bar, when you hit settings, that's how you get back into here in order to flip it back to this. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the writing features with the Read and Write toolbar? If there's no questions, then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the last set of tools. that Read and Write can help with, and that's study tools and study features. The two big ones, actually, just watching the time here, is I'm going to make sure that we go over the highlighters and the collection tool and the vocabulary list. Very quickly, the audio maker, all that does is when you select a bunch of text on a page, when you click the audio maker button, so I'm going to wake up my toolbar here. The audio maker tool, it's this page that has the earphones on it. When you select a bunch of text, it'll turn that into like an MP3 file, and then you could just be listening to the content instead of reading the content. Okay. But the really neat features for studying are these highlighter tools. So when you're using the highlighter tool, so let's say most people will use highlighters because they have important information from the reading that they want to highlight as being valuable, right? So I'm just going to start highlighting some stuff randomly. So let's say I wanted this, I'm going to color that yellow. I'm going to color this green. And with the 4 different colors, maybe you could be categorizing stuff. So again, if this is back to like biology, maybe, you know, green was anything that had to do with habitats, and yellow had stuff to do with conservation. You can use your colors sort of that way to sort of categorize what you're highlighting. But once you've gotten all your highlights, you can when you leave the web page, they're not going to stay there. Like next time you visit the page, those highlights won't be there anymore. Once you've used your highlighters to highlight what important pieces of information are on the page for you, this little button here on the end will extract all of those highlights out of that web page and dump it into a Microsoft Word document for you. Okay. If you are signed into the Read and Write toolbar with your Conestoga account, and you actually have your Conestoga, usually what I suggest to people is when you are working on a browser, make sure you've got your Office 365 signed in and awake on the browser. Okay. And I'm going to pin it and just leave it over there. When you've got that set up, when you click extract the highlights, and you can choose to either collect it by the order that you've got them highlighted in, or I'm going to do color. I want it to pull all the pink stuff together, all the blue stuff together, all the yellow and all the green stuff together. You can choose to, you know, which colors you want to have it extract. I'm going to hit OK. When you've got your Office 365 already signed in, what it does is it takes care of all the signing in, and it will then immediately generate it for you in a Word document. So now what you can do is you can go on to here and you can go on and edit and modify this, turn this into writing, turn this into other kinds of study notes. You can clear highlights here if you want after you've gotten things organized. The other neat thing about it too is it will also reference the web page that you took that content from. So you can go back to the original source of where you did your highlighting. What it does, though, is the name of this document will be this generic gobbledygook. I'll show you where it puts those highlights because you want to be able to find them again. In your OneDrive, when you use those highlighter tools, the first time you use it, it's going to create a text help folder for you. Inside that text help folder for you in OneDrive, you'll have the first time you use it, you'll create this collect highlights folder. This is where your highlights are generating. Okay, so you'd probably want to change the name of this document to be something else. So that it makes more sense. And then that will help you keep track of your different highlighted content here. I'm just going to, there. So now it's renamed it. Okay. The other thing to know about the highlighter tool is that you can't navigate away from the page. So if your idea was that you're going to collect highlights on multiple pages, you can only do it one web page at a time. Before you navigate to a new web page, you want to extract those highlights. And then what you can do is each time it does an extraction, it sets it up as a new document. So what you then do is you can merge your stuff together, copying the new stuff over, and then, sorry, and then pasting it so that all your highlights are showing up all in one document. So there's going to be a little bit of file management with that. But that's kind of important to know, because the last thing, though, it's frustrating if you've highlighted something and you navigate to a new page thinking, well, I have all my highlights and I'm gonna, highlight 2-3 more pages on the website and collect everything at once. And finding out that it only actually extracts from the last web page you were on. It doesn't extract from the 2 previous websites you were on. Okay. Any questions there with the highlighter extraction tool there? The last feature I'm going to go over is, again, based on the highlighters. But instead of collect highlights, we have this other feature called the vocabulary list. And this is potentially helpful for courses maybe where you have to memorize a lot of terms and things like that. What it does is it will take the highlighted content and it will put it into a table in Microsoft Word for you. So again, I would go through highlight stuff. When I click this, again, if I'm signed into my Microsoft account, it will automatically generate that Word document. And actually, you know what I should do? Hold on. Because I've been highlighting multiple words here. What I should, actually, this shows you, I'll give you an example then of the eraser tool. If you're using the vocabulary list, you want to be grabbing one word at a time because it doesn't know how to get definitions of phrases. So let me just clean this up. Oops. Okay. So let's say that I want to build like a table of definitions. So I'm going to do, let's see, I'll do the word construction on a highlighter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what highlighters you use, because you can pick the colors when you do the extraction. I'll do trades. Oops. Let's see. How about I also pick it opened. So this time when I use the vocabulary list, see here it's generating as a table. And then this, you can go on to edit the table. If there's too many definitions here, you know what? I like the first one. I don't need any of these other definitions. I can change it and edit it. I can add words. Okay. Point being is you can modify stuff. The images, if you don't want them, you can delete them. Or if you don't want any images at all, it's just a table. So you can just simply go in and completely delete that column. There's a free column in here where you can add your own notes. Maybe content from your courses, etc., other websites, etc. But point being is it's a table that you can go on to edit and change. It's helpful for things like usually terms and definitions. Maybe you've got another idea for like how a vocabulary list could be useful. Much same thing as the the highlight. Oops, close this one. Same thing as the highlighted collectors. It's going to generate this gobbledygook of a name. You're going to want to change that into something that more useful. But then back on your OneDrive to find where that thing has created those tables. Again, it's in that text help folder but it'll create, the first time you use it, it'll create a vocabulary list folder, and that's where your vocabulary lists are going to dump. Okay. Any questions about that tool and that feature before we start to wrap this up? So, Read and Write is something that's available to all Conestoga students. It can support sort of like the three main academic areas of learning. If you could use some reading support, if you could use some writing support, if you could benefit from a tool that would help you create study content. Okay. But it also does more than academics. If you're a student with English as an alternate language, there's features in it that can support that, your vocabulary that way. It also addresses text accessibility, reading comprehension with those highlighters, and writing outputs. Okay, so there's academic, there's learning needs. If you have any questions about any of the content you've seen today, if you need any sort of help with setting up these tools, because I know when it comes to online workshops, it can be sometimes a little bit challenging to like do this sort of stuff on your own as you're following along. Also, sometimes there's the whole account issues that's happening on your devices because you've got personal account sign-ins happening and it's sort of like bumping heads against your Conestoga accounts. We can help you sort all that stuff out. On the Sway here, this is the Student Success Portal where you can book an appointment to come and see us. So here, it takes you directly to our AT booking link, and you can pick a type of appointment that you want to book. So the best one to start off sometimes is just simply with exploring assistive tech. And see, let's go into next week. You have the choice of selecting either face-to-face sessions or Zoom-only sessions. I would strongly recommend, though, that you select face-to-face meetings when you're first trying to set this sort of stuff up, because it's just easier when we can sit next to you and we've got access to your device in order to be able to get in and out of things. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to do those on a Zoom meeting, those first initial meetings when you're setting up technology. Okay. You can also email us, though, if you have any other questions or if you want some help with booking. And then we also have a lot of other tech resources at Conestoga for students. You can see them on the library website. There's more tech for accessible learning. And then technologies to help you learn. There's also there's lots of other resources here when it comes to assistive tech. Okay. So with that, I think we will basically close this out. If there's anybody that has any questions and just sort of wants to hang around afterwards, that's totally fine. We can stay on for a few minutes longer. But if there's anybody who's good, you can leave the meeting. And like Tony had said near at the start, you will get access to a recording to today's session. So I'm just going to hang on here for a minute just to sort of see if anybody wants to stick around. And if not, we will close the meeting out. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's anybody that wants to stay on for anything. Thanks for spending the time today with us. And good luck with the rest of your orientation activities this week and with the start of the fall term.